Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the next session of our course, the planning process held by the Department of Urban Regional Planning, ITES, Teknologi Sebelum Paber Surabaya. In this session, I would like to explain about the models of the planning process. As you may already aware, different countries will have different models of how they are conducting the planning process. So I will explain about the examples of the models of planning process from worldwide and also by historical context. And then I will give an explanation, short explanation about how planning process are conducted in Indonesia. Okay, according to Sujarto in 1985, there are different models of planning process, which are at least there are 7. Of course, there are some others model that may be not included in this lecture, but I will explain about the 7 major model of planning processes. The first one is the Gedesian model, which was introduced by Patrick Geddes in 1925. And there is Lichfield model introduced by Nathaniel Lichfield in 1986. 68, sorry. And then there is Travis model. And the next one is Kozlowski model and this Robert model and McConnell model and the model from Department of Environment in United States, in United Kingdom. So the first model is the classical one that is called the Gedesian model. So Gedesian model is a classical model, is also called the classical model because this planning process model is the first one that completely documented. Of course, maybe there are other planning models that implemented in urban energy planning, but before introduced by Gedesian, those models are not well documented. There are no clear papers or explanation about the model. So we call the Gedesian model as the classical model because, as I mentioned again, his model was the first model that can be clearly defined and well documented. So Gedesian model is called the classical model. And Gedesian model is a planning process model which based on simple steps. The first one is data survey. When we collecting the data, collecting the required data for analysis, and then the analysis itself, how we analyze the various aspects of urban regional planning, either land use aspect, social aspect, economic aspect, environment aspect, etc. So we conduct a various aspect of planning, and finally we conducting planning itself. Or in other hand, we can say that Gedesian model consists of the input, process, and output phase of the planning process. And indeed, despite seem simplistic, this Gedesian model can be developed into more complex and more complex models. I think some of the models that I will explain later also developed by based on Gedesian model. So despite seem simplistic, Gedesian model can be developed into more complex ones while still following the process input, process, and output pattern. This is very clear that in other models, we can see clearly this pattern that we collect data as an input and then we conduct analysis on the data and we produce outputs, either decision or plan. And based on these 3 steps, there are various models of planning process that has been developed. Okay, next. The next one is Litchfield model that developed by Natalie Lichfield. This is a planning process that follows a little bit more complicated, I think not a little bit, much more complicated steps than introduced by Patrick Geddes. The steps are formulation of planning goals and target as basic policies. So the basis or the foundation of planning process is planning goal. Planning goals that further formulated or defined as target. This is the basic policies. For example, before doing anything in planning, the government can already say that I want that my city became more prosperous. For example, I want that economic growth twice as big as current economy. So that will be the funding of the planning. All targets in the planning process should contribute to the achievement of the goals and target, which is to increase the economic level of the city. Afterwards, after the goals and targets are clearly defined and became the basic policies of the urban and regional planning, the next step is to define by definition of planning scope and constraints. How far is the target that they want to achieve, and also the constraints? What are the constraints, the challenges that we are facing that may make the target unachievable? Okay, let me move my screen first. And then after we define the planning scope and constraint, the next step is survey, in which we collect data that record in planning, and then conducting data analysis on the acquired data. And then this is an important step in Litchfield model, that first, before deciding what we want to do or have in the future, we need first formulating and evaluating the alternatives. So we need to have or construct different alternatives that we can achieve, that we can work on. There are different alternatives to achieve the goals. For example, if we want to have a better economy in the future, one alternative, for example, is by pushing the industry. Other alternatives can be by pushing the business activities or tourism activities or combination of them. So this is the alternative. So we need to formulate and formulate what are the alternatives, and we evaluate each of the alternatives. How good or how well they can perform to achieve our planning targets. And last one, after we have the alternatives and we decide or prioritize which alternative is the best one to be selected, then we implement the alternatives in the planning document. For example, if we decide that to increase the economy in a city is by pushing the tourism, then these tourism targets is implemented in the planning document. So the final planning document is focused on tourism to make the economy of the city grow faster. So in this method, the feedback plays a role as a new input is introduced. So in Litchfield introduced feedback that for the next phase of planning, maybe 5 years, 20 years in the future, if we want to make a new plan in the city, then we need to include the feedback from the previous phase of planning as the input in the new plan. So this second one is Litchfield, that he said that we need to set the target in the beginning, and by the end we need to have an alternative, and we have to make sure that the plan that we are formulated, that the final planning document is indeed the best alternative available. So we cannot only have one alternative. We need to have different alternatives, and the one that we are selected is clearly the best one. So this is according to Litchfield. And then the alternative is selected in the planning document. Okay, next. The third model is Travers model, which is same with the Gedesian model, is based on three main processes. The first process is preparatory process, that we decide what are the goals, the targets, what are the data that we are required, how we collect those data, and how we conduct analysis on the data. That is called preparatory process. The second process is the basic planning process, which is mostly using based on technical analysis. For example, the population projection, the projection of economic growth, etc. And the final step is the development of planning and realization. How we really implement the planning document in real world to achieve the targets set in the planning. Apart from the three processes, there are main inputs. According to Travis, there are three main sources that must be considered in the planning process. Those input plays the role as the think tank, which support the three processes. First one is the community relationship, the community empowerment, and the community participation. The same, Travis model also recognize the feedback or the evaluation of the implementation of the planning as the new input for the planning process at the next stage or in the future planning processes. So we have to compare the implementation of the planning document, how good the planning document implemented in the real world. So in the future, maybe 5 years, 10 years, or 20 years from now, when we want to formulate a new planning document, the result of the existing planning document can be considered taken into account when we're formulating the new planning document. The next one is Kozlowski model. Kozlowski model is a planning process model that recognize three basic input, which are the identification of action and activities. What are the available action and what are the existing actions and activities that is happening in the study area and planning area. For example, in a city, there are industrial activities, business activities, transportation or tourism activities. We need to identify all of them, all the available activities that occurring in the present condition. And then based on the existing action and activities, we need then to formulate the planning methods. There are different planning methods that we can achieve, we can utilize for during the urban and regional planning process. For example, either can we use a bottom-up or top-down planning or qualitative planning or quantitative planning, etc. This is based on the existing action activities in the planning area. And then after we define what is the planning method, we formulate the goals and objectives of the planning process. All of the three components above must be supported by systematic data. This model includes hypotheses that then evaluated by the results of the analysis process. Then the analysis is conducted to find the optimum planning solutions. So this is the key aspects in Kozlowski's model that we need to evaluate first what are the action activities. And the best plan or the final planning document is the planning document that can combine the existing action activities to propose the optimum solution. For example, if in a city there are industrial, business, and tourism activities, in the planning document, all of them must be included. And then we need to find an optimum solution where the combination of the three activities can produce the highest result. If you only focus only one, there is a possibility that it will have a negative effect on the other activities. For example, if there are three activities in a city, industrial, business, and tourism, if we only focus on the industrial aspect of the city or industrial activity in the city, the growth of industrial activities can have the negative impact on the tourism. So even we have higher industrial activities, we will have a lower level of tourism activities. And that can be not an optimum solution. It can be or it cannot be, but when we have too high activity of one, if we have too high level of one activity, for example, industry, it will have a negative impact on another activity. For example, the industry is higher, but tourism is lower. And sometimes that is not the optimum solution. Maybe the optimum solution is to have three of them grow together and can be supporting one to another. So the key here is that we define the activities, Then we define the optimum solution for the planning. Okay, next, there are Robert's model. In principle, Margaret Robert emphasized that two main channels during planning process are the planning activities and community participation. This model has a very high impact on the urban planning in Indonesia. I will explain in the final part of my lecture. So there are two main activities according to Margaret Robert. First one is the planning activities itself, when we collecting data, analysis data, identifying the goals and targets, as I mentioned earlier, and those process must be accompanied by community participation. So the community that will be impacted by the planning process, they must be included in the planning process. However, of course, the approach will be totally different between planning activities and community participation. So for example, planning activities, we producing maps or collecting data and survey, and by community participation, we inviting them for discussion. So on the planning activity side, this is a technical part. Planning activities include data preparation and analysis, definition of planning standards and targets, formulation of alternatives, planning implementation, and monitoring of planning implementations. And then on the community involvement side, this process includes formulation of planning process platform. What are the planning platform that we are going to use when we involving the communities, identification of goals and objectives, formulation alternatives, and evaluation of alternatives. So we can see clearly there is a difference between Robert's model and other models. Other models more focus on the step-by-step process, data preparation, goals and objectives, and etc. But Margaret Robert proposed that those activities should be separated into two main activities, which is the planning activities and the community participation. Next. The next one is McConnell models. McConnell models is based on three types of activities. If previously Robert only two types of activities, McConnell models propose that in planning process, there are three types of main activities during the planning process, which are the first is the survey and analysis process when we are collecting data and conducting analysis on the data. And then the planning process itself, when we formulate the planning concepts, we gather public, we held public hearings to gather community's perception towards the planning concept. And then also there are political process, the parallel political process to legalize the planning document. And after the planning document legalized, we need to implement the planning document. So the implementation of a planning document is a process itself, according to McConnell's model. So if the President Margot Roberts only said there are two activities on the planning process, which is the analysis and community participation. In McConnell model, there are three, which is the survey analysis, planning process, and implementation of planning document. Okay, next there is a Department of Environment model or DOE's model. This is the model of planning developed in United Kingdom since 1971. DOE is the ministry that handles the planning process in United Kingdom. According to the Department of Environment in United Kingdom, planning process include data input, which is includes of course the survey and collecting data. Data input, the next one we conducting analysis and scenario formulation based on the data. And then based on the analysis and scenario formulation, we formulate the final document, final planning document. The result of the planning process is simplified, founded by the two main aspects. So the final planning document, according to the Department of Environment model, must consist of at least two aspects. First one is the definition of planning goals and objectives. What are that we want to achieve? And then overview, the next one is overview of future conditions. For example, in the definition of planning goals, we want the economy to double. That's a short statement, right? And very clear one. We want the economy to be double. And then we need to have an overview about the future conditions if the economy is doubled. For example, how much is the industry area in the future, how much industrial activities, how much business activities, how much tourism activities in the future, if we want the economy to increase by double, by twofold. So there are, when in one side, there are the targets and objectives, and on other hand, how much and or how those targets and goals can change the conditions in the future in many aspects, of course, land use, economical, social, and etc. So this is the model proposed by the Department of Environment, the two types of model. Okay, next. So in short, those are the main planning models that has been implemented worldwide. In the next page, in the next section of our course, I will also explain some additional models in planning process, which are the Morse model, Brian McLaughlin's model, and Chadwick's model. So in short, those models can be explained in diagrams. For example, in Morse model, Morse says that planning is a cyclic process. So this is a circular process started by the definition of problems and purposes. This is the preliminary part of planning. We start with the definition of problems and purposes. So based on the existing problems and the purposes on vision or mission of the community or the government, we define the goals that we want to achieve in the future. And then we collect data, required data to achieve the goals by conducting literature review and data description of historical and existing condition. And we conducting analysis of base data and non-action forecast. Based on the analysis of data, we need to formulate or describe the available alternatives. Best case means that the existing condition. If we left the existing condition and we do nothing at all, we don't formulate planning documents, basically we do nothing, what will happen in the future? That is called the best case of alternatives. So if we do nothing, what happens in the future? So that we'll call the best case. And then we need to develop alternative scenarios. If we do something, what we want to do and how to do it, based on different assumptions about the future values, desired future condition, and the policies, existing policies. So alternatives, technically there are two types of alternatives. First one, if we do nothing, this is do nothing alternative. The second alternative, if we do something alternative. So when defining what we should do in the future, the what to do alternatives, we must consider a lot of indicators. For example, the future value, desired condition in the future, and also the existing public policy. And then we evaluate which are of those alternative, the best case or the other alternatives. These other alternatives can be more than one. So which alternatives is the best to be implemented in the future? So technically, the best action in the future can be the best case in term that we don't need to change anything in the future. So everything went well, everything is in order. We just need to continue the way we do things as what is happening now. For example, in a city that the current condition is the tourism is very well, working very well, the tourism sector very well, working very well. So in the future, we don't have to change this tourism. We just need to continue and maintaining the level of tourism in a city. So technically, this is can happen. That the best alternative is just by following what is happening today, just following the existing policies, existing conditions, etc. It may seem easy, but remember that sometimes maintaining is much more difficult than to achieving something, right? So, for example, in last 10 years, we have a very good development. Maybe in the next 10 years or 20 years, we just need to maintain the condition. We don't need to change something. We don't need to do something drastic to make a lot of changes. We just need to maintain the current condition. And then after the best selection, best alternative selected, then we need to implement the best plan, and then we monitor the alternative, the implementation of the alternatives, for example, by monitoring how well is the current condition, and then by reevaluation whether the planning document is still relevant to the current condition. And if it's not relevant anymore, then we need to redefine the problems and the process planning. So this is the cyclic process. So after, if we think that the condition is not suitable anymore, we want to have a lot of changes, that when I think we need to change the definition of problems of the planning. Okay, this is the Morse model. And then the next one is the Bryan-McLaughlin model. This is also step by step. So first we need to decide whether we need a new plan or not. This is very simple actually, but of course it's very important. If we want to formulate a new document, if we want to create a new planning document, the first answer that we need, the first question that we need to answer is whether we need a new planning document or not. In case that the planning document is expired, for example, if the age of the planning document is 20 years old, and by law that it must be renewed, then we need a new planning document. But there is a decision and there is a reason why we need a planning document. And then they formulate the goal, and then study the possible courses of action, and then evaluate the alternatives, and then we action through public investment or control over private investment. So the main action, according to Bryan-McLaughlin, is public investment or controlling the private investment. So development in an area, in an urban and regional area, can be conducted by the government, by public investment, or can be also conducted by private investment. So there are cities that fully constructed by government, there are cities that fully constructed by private, by companies, and sometimes there are also both, that the construction are conducted by both the government and also the private sector. And then there is George Chadwick, a system of view of planning, that it must be done in simultaneously between the problem finding and finding the solution. So in problem finding, we need to formulate the goal, projection of goals, evaluation of goals and alternatives, and evaluation of performance. And for each step, this is what make the system of planning is different. During each steps, there should be a accompanied process that is conducted. For example, when we conducting goal, when we formulate the goal, we need to describe the system. What is the existing system? And we project the goals. We need to model the system. And then also when we evaluate the projection, we need to evaluate the system projection and the system synthesis and system control. So each steps of the planning, see, by the title, the system view of planning, each step of the planning process can be considered as a system, as a one system that has a unique characteristic. For example, the goal formulation by system description, we describe the urban area or regional area as a system. When we project in the goals, we model the system, we model the city, we model the village area or regional area, and etc. So for each step, it must be able to be described as system. So this is going to George Chadwick. And for final part of our lecture, I will give a short introduction about Indonesian planning model. So in Indonesian planning process, it is regulated by law, which is the government's law number 15 to 2020 about spatial planning procedures. So in Indonesian planning process divided into three main stages. The first one is when it is conducted by local government. The second one is when the planning process is conducted by central government. The third one is when the planning process return again to local government. So this is a step-by-step process, first by local government and then sent to the central government and then sent back to local government. In the local government, in the initial stage of planning, local government conduct the formulation of planning document. In Indonesian planning context, this is called the technocratic process, which is we are using data analysis, data survey, data collection, a technocratic process, even a little bit more engineering process to formulate the spatial planning document, to formulate the planning document. And then if we already produce the draft of the planning document, we need to include or involve the community for the identification of planning targets. So the involvement of the community is while defining the targets of the planning. This is, I think, very logical because we don't need to involve communities during data collection, for example. We don't ask them to go to the streets or to the shops to collect data. But after we collect data and we analyze the data, we invite the community. Together with them, we define the planning targets. This is what we call by the participatory process. And after these two stages are completed, we have the draft that already include the community involvement. Then we evaluate the draft of planning document by executive and legislative branch of the government. This is called the political process. So in the local government, there are these stages, which is the technocratic process, participatory process, and then political process. After this is agreed on, then it will be sent to the local government. So in short, the consultant, the expert, the academic in local government, they are discussing the new planning document, also the involvement with the community. Then after in the local government and the stakeholders in local level agreed, they sending the draft to central government. For example, if the government of Surabaya, with the approval of the Parliament of Surabaya, if they approve the draft of the planning document, they send the draft to the central government, to the Ministry of Planning, Kementerian Agraria Tata Ruang, ya, Ministry of Planning. Central government then process, then evaluate to give the approval to the draft of the planning document that were submitted by local government. If the central government agree with everything, if they think everything is look good, then they will send back the planning document to local government. And then local government, they discuss again, in case that there are changes, local government will discuss in all branches of government, executive and legislative, to in a process of legalization of planning document as a local law. So the final output of planning documents, the planning documents in urban and regional planning in Indonesia is considered as a local law that must be followed by everyone who is affected. So it starts by local government, I repeat again, local government defining the planning document in a technocratic process and then involving the citizen and community, and then evaluating using between executive and legislative, and then send it to the central government. And when the central government approve the draft, they will send it back to local government. And then the local government will make it legalize the planning document as a local law. So that's it, everyone. That's a general overview about the planning process from worldwide, and also I give a little bit explanation about the planning process in Indonesia. So I have uploaded this material in Classroom, and you can download it and learn it by yourself to have a better understanding about the urban and regional planning process. So thank you very much for watching. See you again in our next lecture. Thank you very much.